Rav Sternbach once pointed out that um, somebody came to Rav Schneider, his Rosh Shiva, and asked for a bracha. He was getting married. And Rav Schneider asked him, "What bracha do you want?" So the Bacher said, I want a bracha that'll have a life without problems. So Rav Schneider said, there is no such thing as a life without problems. I can give you a bracha that you should be able to deal with your problems. And the truth is that there is a way that we can change our problems from the problems which are disturbing to the problems which are more pleasant. And that the Arizal is Megala. It says when the Jews were in Mitzrayim, they were osik with Chomer, V'Levenim, and Binyan. Chomer or Binyan. It says the Arizal, Kal v'Chomer or Binyan Av. These are two of the, I believe that the Yud Gimel ways, the 13 ways that the Torah is Nidreshes them, right? That we mention, those of us in davening who get up to that part. And the Arizal is revealing to us that we have a way to shape our destiny, as it were. That you can have problems. You can have problems like Chomer and Binyan, being enslaved to Mitzrayim or any other entity that might choose to enslave us, like your Taiva or your Chemda, your desire or your will. Or you could be Osik, you could be busy yourself with Binyan Av or Kal Chomer. So you could busy yourself with the principles that the Torah is interested in, as we find they manifest themselves in the davening. I'll have a sitter here. In any event, this is an option. This is an option. We can transform our problems, as it were. We can take them to a different place, right? A person in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, who was enslaved to the Mitzrayim, and all day long was involved with backbreaking labor. He could choose. He had a choice. And in fact, all of Shevet Levi was not enslaved. They were busy with Torah. The Arizal is implying that had one of the Jews who was enslaved made a choice that from now on he's going to be learning Torah, then for him the subjugation would have ceased. And I heard once from Daniel Belsky Shlita, he said there was a certain Rebbe in the Holocaust. He just decided that nothing was happening. He was just going to go through his normal Rebbeisha routine. And that's exactly what happened. They let him do what he wanted to daven and to what he did. And when he was niftar even, there was a levaya, like a regular levaya. It's quite an incredible thing. But a person chooses where they want, how their problems will manifest themselves. Will they manifest themselves as problems of backbreaking labor? Or will they manifest themselves as problems in Torah as a Chashiv Yid, Yushalmi Yid, once told me that he was speaking to Rav Shach, and the day before, Rav Shach had given a shir klali, and when he walked in, Rav Shach said, "How did you sleep last night?" So the Bacher said, "Fine." No. How did you sleep last night? The Rav Shach asked him a few times, and finally, like he wasn't getting it, the Bacher said, "I gave a shir yesterday, and I asked a question on the Rajba, and I left it tzarchi, and how could you sleep?" Right? Another famous story about the Brisker Rav once sent a shliach to Rav Shach. He sent a messenger to Rav Shach at like 2 o'clock in the morning that he had an answer to the question they had been discussing. And the shliach was a little bit nervous that maybe he was going to wake up Rav Shach. The Brisker Rav said, no, there's no way that Rav Shach went to sleep with such a problem. And these are problems, people who can't sleep, that's called insomnia. That's a problem. But there's a way to turn your insomnia, right? Turn your insomnia into Olam HaBah. You can turn your insomnia into Olam HaBah, meaning I don't fall asleep just because I'm too bothered by the questions that I have in Torah, and they don't allow me to fall asleep. I was in South Africa. I stayed by a wonderful family, and they told me that they were hosting once Rav Tzvi Kushlevsky, and like every hour he would just come into the house and get another Gemara, because he just couldn't fall asleep. He was so bothered by a certain sugya. So this is a good goal for those of us who have problems, right? And some of us are gifted with more problems than others. Some of their problems are more complicated. Some of their problems are less complicated. Whatever they are, we all have one thing in common. We don't really want them, right? And I think I speak for everybody. We don't really want our problems. We would be happy to just take them and throw them into the ocean, the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean, whichever part of the world you're located in. And we could do it. We could do it. We could do it by, as much as possible, immersing ourselves in Torah, in Tefillah, in Gemilas Chasadim, the three Amudim, and especially Torah, right? Especially men have the opportunity to immerse themselves in Torah. Rav Yaakov Hill told me from the Rizal that tznius for women, tznius just doesn't mean how they dress, but how they act. Tznius for women is like the equivalent of Torah for men. And of course, women can involve themselves in tefillah and Torah and Gemilas Chasadim. Involving ourselves in these areas, this is a way that we can transform our problems and take them into a new dimension and be yotzi, as it were, our problems through Torah and through Chesed and through Tefillah. So let's all try to do it. I'm talking to myself the most. Somebody wrote to me and she said, I see you're talking a lot about sensitivity. I hope I've been sensitive enough in my correspondence. I said, you know what? I'm the first one to start. I have to be more sensitive. And whatever I say here, I'm only talking to myself. And in fact, usually I am here at 4 o'clock in the morning in the coastal. Inevitably, somebody's going to walk over and start listening to my shirim. But usually I'm recording here at, it's right now 4:32. And usually I'm just talking to myself. But I hope I'm talking to others as well, because it's really an opportunity. If you have really bad problems, yeah, if you have really difficult problems, try this. Try expressing your problems in ruchnis, meaning try immersing yourselves into chesed. Right? If you're really having hardships, try helping other people having hardships. If you're really having a difficult time, try, instead of having difficult times in life, try having difficult times and problems in Torah. And you'll see, slowly, you will see a transformation of everything. Hashem will allow you, as it were. You have a choice. This is part of our Bechira Chavshit. We can have a free choice to make our problems in Torah and avoiding Gemilas Chasadim and not in other areas. So Hashem should give us great siyata d'shmaya to fulfill this, and we should be zoiche, b'karav, amen.